In today's crypto market, holding assets long term is no longer just about choosing the right wallet or avoiding hackers. As portfolios grow, the risks evolve. For long-term XRP holders, especially those storing tokens in cold wallets, the biggest threat may not be a cyber attack, but something far more traditional, and that's legal exposure. In a recent explanation shared by Jake Claver, a well-known voice in the digital asset space, he addressed a question many serious investors are quietly asking. What should you do with XRP that's already sitting safely in a cold wallet? His answer challenges common assumptions. Instead of moving funds or buying more hardware, Clover argues that true protection at this stage is legal and structural, not technical. So in this video, we are going to break down his strategy in detail, explains why it matters for the market, and shows how XRP ownership can be protected without ever touching the blockchain. So, why is moving XRP from a cold wallet often the wrong decision? Cold wallets already offer strong technical security. They protect XRP from online threats, phishing attacks, and exchange failures. According to Jake Claver, once your XRP is in cold storage, the probability of a technical breach is already extremely low. However, the real issue begins with personal ownership. When XRP is held directly by an individual, it becomes legally tied to that person. This means that asset can be exposed to lawsuits, creditor claims, divorce settlements, or court judgments, regardless of how secure the wallet itself may be. From a market perspective, this insight reflects a growing trend among mature crypto holders. As adoption increases, digital assets are increasingly viewed by courts and regulators as real property, not just speculative tokens. That shift changes how risk is priced and managed. Investors who fail to account for legal exposure may face forced liquidation or asset seizure, which can create unexpected sell pressure in the market during legal disputes. Clover's point here is simple but powerful. Moving XRP introduces unnecessary operational risk. Transactions can be mistyped, wallets can be mismanaged, fees and errors can occur. If the goal is protection, moving assets may actually increase danger instead of reducing it. So, how can legal ownership protect XRP without moving it? Clover here proposes a solution that feels counterintuitive to many crypto users, and that is change ownership on paper, not on chain. Instead of sending XRP to a new wallet, the holder legally transfers ownership to a limited liability company or LLC. In this setup, the XRP becomes an initial capital contribution to the LLC. The tokens stay exactly where they are in the same cold wallet under the same private keys. What changes is who legally owns them. This matters because LLCs exist specifically to limit personal liability. If an individual is sued, assets owned by a properly structured LLC are generally shielded from personal claims. From a market standpoint, this kind of structure encourages long-term holding behavior, reducing panic-driven selling caused by legal uncertainty. As crypto becomes more institutionalized, frameworks like this support frameworks like this support the idea that XRP and other digital assets are transitioning into multi-decade stores of value, not just short-term trades. So, why is documentation and notarization so critical? According to Claver, documentation is where most people fail. Simply saying an LLC owns the XRP is not enough. The operating agreement must clearly list the wallet address, the digital asset, the number of XRP tokens, and the fair market value on the date of transfer. The most important step is notarization. A notarized operating agreement creates a verifiable timestamp proving that LLC legally acquired the asset. This can be critical in court, especially if ownership is ever challenged. From a broader market perspective, this highlights how digital assets are becoming intertwined with traditional legal systems. As court demand clearer ownership records, investors who prepare proper documentation gain greater confidence, which strengthens overall market stability. In simple terms, notarization turns XRP from something you control into something you can legally defend. So, why does asset separation matter for XRP? One of Clover's strongest warnings involves mixing assets. If an LLC already owns real estate, businesses, or revenue generating activities, it also carries liability risk. A lawsuit related to one asset can threaten everything inside that LLC. For XRP holders, this can be disastrous. If crypto is placed inside a high-risk entity, it loses the very protection the structure was meant to provide. Clover recommends a standalone crypto-only LLC. This isolates XRP from unrelated legal exposure and ensures that risks do not spill over. In states with weaker creditor protections, this separation becomes even more important. So, from a market impact perspective, this approach reduces forced selling during legal events. Investors with isolated structures are less likely to liquidate XRP under pressure, helping support price stability during periods of legal or economic stress. So, can XRP protection really be a set and forget strategy? Once structured correctly, Clover describes this approach as set and forget. The cold wallet stays untouched. The XRP never moves. There are no ongoing transactions, no rebalancing, and no technical maintenance. This simplicity has powerful implications. Long-term holders can focus on macro trends, regulatory developments, and adoption milestones instead of operational security. For the market, this encourages stronger conviction among holders, reducing emotional reactions to short-term volatility. In essence, Claver reframes crypto security as a legal discipline, not a technical one. And finally, my own personal opinion about this is that Jake Claver's framework reflects where the crypto market is inevitably heading. As digital assets mature, protection is no longer about being clever with wallets. It's about being intentional with ownership. For XRP holders who believe in long-term adoption, especially those planning to hold through regulatory cycles and market expansions, this strategy makes sense. It reduces unnecessary movement, limits exposure, and aligns crypto ownership with traditional asset protection methods. That said, this approach is not for casual traders. It's designed for serious holders who treat XRP as generational wealth rather than a short-term position. As the market evolves, those who think beyond price charts and into legal structure may be the ones best positioned for the future. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one.